Chapter 15. Violet. Violet had seen pictures of her dad's Incredible. This car in Syndrome's car park was nothing like it. Dad's car, which he often talked about lovingly and longingly while Mom looked on, shaking her head, was a sports car. The car Syndrome had assigned to Violet was a bright yellow estate with a white and red Pizza Planet logo painted on one side. From several steps away, Violet could see a tall stack of boxes in the back seat, marked Brownie Pizza. Violet hoped nobody from school spotted her cruising around delivering dessert pizza. She opened the passenger side door and reluctantly climbed into the front seat, wondering when the hologram would appear as a driver. There were several modifications to the dashboard, which she had to admit were cool. In front of her were two large monitors. One showed where she was going, and another one mapped where she'd been. "Hello, Violet Parr," said the car as she sat down. "Would you like your seat warmed?" "Oh, no thank you," Violet said, patting the dashboard, which lit up at her touch. "The interior temperature of the car is 20 degrees, said the car. "Would you like a snack for your trip?" A panel above the glove compartment shot out, showcasing a row of sweets like a concession stand at the cinema. "I'm good, but thanks." She was too nervous to eat. "All right," said the car. "Please let me know if and when you might need laser beam attack function or a missile launcher. Could I interest you in the aeronautics or parachute features?" Violet bit the inside of her cheek. Why would a car need a parachute? And why did this car have a missile launcher? It occurred to Violet that with one accidental press of a button, she could mess up the mission before it started. "Just a regular drive would be great, thank you," she said, and the car took off. The hologram, however, didn't appear. Violet hoped the window were tinted so no one noticed a driverless car and a girl on a joyride. As the car made its way along city streets, Violet kept her eyes on the road in front of her. This section of Metroville was one she wasn't familiar with. The homes were larger, the streets more spread apart, and she hadn't seen an actual person in miles. The pulsing dot on the map suggested that Mastermind's compound was located at the top of one of the mountains they were driving towards, overlooking the whole city. If Violet weren't so terrified of what she was about to do, she'd be excited to see the view from up there. She took a deep breath, inhaling the smell of chocolate from the brownies in the back seat. The car was quiet as it zoomed along the narrow road with impressive precision. She thought about calling Mirage just to hear someone other than the voice in her head, but why stress the woman out more? She looked terrified about being left alone with Jack again. "Just focus," Violet told herself, tapping her fingers on her legs and looking down at her supersuit, which was surprisingly comfortable and seemed to breathe like Egyptian cotton. In a hidden pocket, she packed her mom's comms link and her note that was already starting to look worn. "You can do this." She looked at the watch Syndrome had given her. One of the buttons said "set to stun." Did that mean she could point the watch and stun someone? Might not be the best idea to test that in a moving car. She continued her prep talk. "A mission is no big deal. Who cares if you're trying to break into Mastermind's super secure compound and steal the villain's greatest weapon?" "You're breaking into Mastermind's house?" Violet whipped her head around and gasped. "Dash?" On the floor of the back seat, Dash peeked out from under a Pizza Planet delivery jacket and looked at her sheepishly, his cheeks coloring. "Surprise! What are you doing here?" Violet demanded, feeling a spark of anger when she realized he was in his supersuit as well. "You're supposed to be back at the house with Mirage. She's going to freak out." "No, she won't. She doesn't even know I'm gone." Dash shrugged. "She thinks I'm napping." He held his stomach, blocking the eye on the suit's chest, and laughed. "As if I nap." Violet glared at him. "You've messed up everything. I'm calling Mirage to come get you." "Don't!" Dash begged. "I can help you." "No." "Why not?" Dash groaned. "You need me." I do, but I don't want to lose you too, she wanted to say, but she couldn't. Her heart was pumping hard again as she stared at all the buttons on the dash. Which one did she use to call Mirage? Why did these buttons all say things like fire shrink ray instead of something simple like make a call? Sorry, Dash, this is a solo mission, and aha! There's the speak button. She pressed it. The car spoke first. Hello, Violet Parr, Dash Parr, it said. Your vehicle is headed to 1024 Overlook Drive, Metroville. That is awesome, Dash whispered. Car, can you turn around and take us back to Syndrome's? Violet asked politely. We've got a stowaway on board. I'm not a stowaway. I'm your sidekick, Dash argued, the two of them talking over each other like they always did when they argued. I don't need a sidekick, Violet told the car. I need him safe, at home, back at Syndrome's. Negative, the car said. Route is confirmed and on lock. 1024 Overlook Drive, Metroville. Violet groaned and pressed herself back against the seat as the car started to climb up a mountain. The sky was darkening, the red in the sky giving way to deep blues. City lights began to light up the skyline. Enjoying the car ride, and the view was supposed to be the easy part of the mission. Great. Mission over before it even started. No, it's not. I brought all kinds of gadgets. Dash pulled a bag out of the back. If you're trying to stop the bad guys, you can't do this alone. You might need my speed or some kind of gadget to do whatever it is you're doing. She forgot she didn't actually know the mission. Look at all the stuff I brought to help us. 2 spy guys and a bunch of gadgets from Dad's office. He opened the bag and held up the megaphone she recognized from the other day at the house. I have the freeze ray and the shrink and grow button too. She showed her the happy button again that almost destroyed Dad's trophy. You stole Dad's stuff? Violet narrowed her eyes at him. When? How? I didn't see you steal anything before we ran out of the house. You say stole. I say borrowed, Dash told her triumphantly. I also grabbed this. Dad held up the tiny homing device she'd let Dash play with in Dad's office the other day. It reminded her of the spy guy, but smaller, and she knew it was expensive. Dad was always saying, be careful, I can't get another one of these. She was going to say the same exact thing to Dash until she realized there was a small blinking light over a tiny island in the ocean. Violet grabbed it from him. Wait, who is this homing device tracking? Violet asked. Dash shrugged. I'm not sure. I did see Mom with it before she left, though. Maybe Dad? Is this conference on an island? Sounds like a holiday. But it can't be Dad's location, can it? Violet said, thinking out loud. How can it be working if... She stopped herself. If he already left? Dash suggested. I know! Shouldn't Mom and Dad be on their way home by now? When are they getting back? Soon. Violet stared at the screen, trying to work out what was happening. Why would the light still be blinking if Dad was dead? Wouldn't it have been destroyed if her parents had been killed in an explosion? Or did they drop it in their shuffle with Mastermind? Violet? Dash interrupted her thoughts. Is this mission about the bad guys that came to the house? She saw his small face scrunched up tight underneath the black mask he was wearing, and her heart melted a bit. They'd been through so much the last few days. She could only imagine what he was feeling being kept in the dark. She was doing it for his own sake. Good. Wasn't she? Hiding the truth was her protecting him. Wasn't it? She couldn't let Dash face Mastermind. She couldn't lose him too. Yes, she said slowly. I'm going after the bad guys. He thought for a moment. And the bad guys work with Mastermind? He was figuring everything out. How could she lie now? Yes, but Dash. The car came alive with the sound of a phone ringing, interrupting her answer. Violet looked around for a receiver, but saw none. She still couldn't find a phone button either. Don't you think you should answer that? Dash asked. Yes, but I can't find a phone, Violet said, looking at each button on the dash carefully again. Violet? Mirage's voice filled the car. Are you there? Mirage? Violet shouted to the ceiling, relieved. I'm here, and so is Dash. She shot him another grumpy look. He is? Thank goodness. I've been looking everywhere for him. In the background, Violet could hear Jack whining again, and made her stomach hurt. I went to check on him, and when he wasn't in his room, I thought, well, I'm just glad he's safe. Dash's cheeks turned brighter, and he shrunk down in the seat, trying to hide behind the Pizza Planet jackets. Can you turn this car around so I can drop him off? Violet asked as Dash shook his head triumphantly. No. The car had turned into a winding road now that chunked higher in along a narrow dirt path. The car knocked Violet around like one of Dash's marbles. Destination approaching. 1 mile, the car said as they passed a large sign that said no trespassing. Private road. 1 mile? Mirage could obviously hear the announcement. It's too late to turn back now. You'll have been spotted on Mastermind's security system already. Turning around now could send Mastermind's goons after you. Goons? There was no one out here but their car. The road ahead was pitch black. If there was a house on this mountain, there was no signs indicating it either. Violet gave Dash a mutinous glance. But I need to be invisible to get inside. What am I going to do with Dash? I don't know, but you better think fast. Nobody's faster than me, Dash said proudly. I can get past any villain. That's what Syndrome told me. Violet did a double take. What? Yep, Syndrome said I was old enough to act super, even if Mom and Dad never let me be super. Today's that day. Dash sat up and placed his hands on his hips, taking on a super stance, and a dreamy look in his eye that was very familiar. He looks like Dad, Violet thought. He acts like Dad, too. Her stomach tightened. Unlike her, Dash loved having powers, even if he didn't get to use them. How was he going to react when she told him he'd have to give up being super? The car buzzer began to sound, approaching target. Violet peered out the car window wearily. Up ahead, she could see a light and quickly realized it was a gate situated between two small turreted top guard towers. Beyond the gates, Violet could see a brick road that was lined on either side by decorative mountains. Water drummed from one infinity pool to the next, all entirely lit from underneath. At the end of the road, if Violet squinted, she could make out a ridiculously large structure. Calling it a mansion would be wrong. The place was a castle with multiple blue turrets and peaked rooftops and more windows than a high-rise Mastermind lived here? Call me as soon as you're finished, Mirage said. I'm setting my timer now. You should be in and out in an hour. Violet, you do the same. Violet set a timer on Syndrome's watch to let him know they'd arrived. The watch began counting down. 59 minutes and 59 seconds. Syndrome said to get in and out in under an hour, and he clearly meant it. Good luck, Mirage said, sounding grim as the wailing in the background from Jack grew louder. If you're not out in an hour, then, Dash prodded. But Mirage didn't answer. Neither did Violet. If they weren't out in an hour, Violet knew what that meant. They'd failed. Or worse. We'll call you as soon as we're done, Violet promised. And the car went silent. The guard booth was directly ahead of them now, only a few yards away. All right, Dash, you wanted to be super. This is your chance. Dash fist-pumped in the air. Yes! She looked at him sharply. I'm in charge of this mission, understand me? You do one thing I tell you not to, and you're, what was an appropriate punishment for a super? You're grounded from future missions. Dash eyes widened. No more missions? No more missions, Violet promised. Guilt took hold as she thought about how this truly would be his first and only mission. She was stealing an invention that would take being super away from him. She swallowed hard. So do everything I say in there. This isn't a game. These bad guys will hurt us if they catch us. They're like the ones at the house, but worse. Dash nodded. What are we going to say to the guards when we pull up? 10 seconds till approach, the car told them. 10, 9, 8, nothing. Violet pushed him further into the back seat. Syndrome said the car would check in at the guard gate itself. She frowned, looking at the driver's seat she was sitting next to. When was the hologram going to finally appear? Weren't they cutting this close? Violet skirted as close to the passenger window as she could to get out of the way of the hologram. Get under those jackets again, and whatever happens, don't make a sound. Time to disappear, she thought. Violet held her breath and thought again of something that would help her focus on the task of becoming invisible. Now that she knew what to do, the move was almost effortless. Mom, she thought, I really miss you. In seconds, she was gone. The suit miraculously was gone too. Not a moment too soon. There was a flicker, and suddenly a hologram appeared at Violet's side. It looked like a teen boy with long brown hair wearing a Pizza Planet hat and a t-shirt with jeans. Hi, delivery for Mastermind, said the hologram, sounding a lot like the boys at her school. Name, said a guard, wearing a black security ensemble and black sunglasses. Violet's heart beat out of her chest in panic. Was this going to work? Dude, it's Pizza Planet, the hologram said, sounding annoyed. This is 1024 Overlook Drive, no? I got a call for a delivery. The man checked his clipboard. In the back seat, Violet thought she heard rustling. The guard whispered the delivery information into his watch, and a garbled voice responded. Sorry, we don't have a delivery scheduled from Pizza Planet. You must have the wrong address. Violet's heart sank. It wasn't working. Says here they ordered 24 brownie pizzas, said the hologram, and Violet was amazed the computer programming could turn on a dime and respond. Sorry, I can't let you in. These guards weren't budging. Violet held her breath. The hologram sighed. I can't turn around, but it's your funeral, dude. If my boss ordered brownies and I was the one who sent the delivery dude away, I'd be toast. The first guard looked at the second guard. All right, we will let you through, but just to drop off the delivery at the service entrance. You are not allowed inside, understood? The hologram nodded. Take the road to the end and make a left at the service entrance. It's about a 10-minute drive. You can't miss the turnoff. It's the only one. The next set of guards will take the delivery from there. The guard used a torch to peer through the windows of the car, and Violet tried to shrink into herself. Dash, don't move, she thought. In and out. Got it? Got it, dude, the hologram said. The car roared to life again as the gates opened. They were in.